I was changing in my bestie's room. I was already completely naked when I realized someone was in there with me. Well, not a person in the room, exactly. More like a face on a video call. The silence was deafening. I saw the contact name on my bestie's phone, James. Oh, I recognized him. The man on the screen, impossibly handsome, with a cool, distant vibe, was my rich bestie's older brother. "What were you just looking at?" I asked, trying my best to stay calm. James's stoic expression barely flickered. "The stock market." "Me, you've got to be kidding me. There's no way my curves are less interesting than a stock chart." This was the guy I was determined to win over, a total ice king who supposedly only cared about money. "So, what would you do if you had a best friend who was loaded?" "My best friend is an heiress. And my heiress bestie has an older brother. So, naturally, I had to have them both, the money and the man." I'd been scheming about my bestie's brother for a while. At first, it was about the money. Then one day, it became about his looks. It was my bestie's 20th birthday, and a few of us were celebrating at her massive penthouse. The custom-made cake was barely touched before it ended up smeared all over our faces. I found a chance to slip away and ducked into my bestie's room. I grabbed a random outfit from her closet to change into. My bestie and I are as thick as thieves. We grew up sharing meals and sleeping in the same bed. If we'd met any younger, we would have been sharing underwear. There was no one else in the bedroom, but I couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching me. I peeled off my cream-covered clothes and used a clean spot on the fabric to wipe the frosting off my face, my collarbones, and my waist. I had just pulled on a clean shirt and was halfway through getting my head out of the collar when I finally spotted it. That unmissable stare. A phone was propped up on the vanity, its camera pointed directly at me. And unless I was losing my mind, it was on a video call. Yep, and there was an unfairly handsome man's face right in the middle of it. Video calls usually give you the worst angles, but I guessed he'd propped his phone up from a distance so his face wasn't too close to the camera. He was intentionally showing off his chiseled jawline. I froze mid-motion, my eyes locking with the man's deep-set gaze on the screen. My first thought was, "Damn, that is one handsome face." My second thought was, "Holy crap. Did this guy just see everything?" I mechanically finished pulling on my shirt. Then I stiffly walked over and picked up the phone. "What were you just looking at?" I could hear the murderous rage creeping into my voice. The screen lit up as I touched it, and I saw the contact name, James. The man on the other end didn't say a word. The silence was bizarrely peaceful. "James," I said, forcing the fakest smile of my life. James finally spoke, his eyes half closed. "The stock market." For a second, I didn't know if I should be relieved or furious. "Are you kidding me? My body isn't even as interesting as a stock chart?" Jenny, my bestie, slipped into the room just then. Seeing me, she shook her head with a click of her tongue. "I knew you'd run off. So you were hiding in here. You even changed already." "Heh," I let out a villainous little laugh. "What's wrong with you?" I couldn't kill James, but I could definitely take it out on his sister. "Why didn't you end your video call before you left?" "Huh. If she wasn't the birthday girl, I would have strangled her." Jenny just let me shake her by the shoulders. "Oh, my God, you're right. I totally forgot my brother was still on." She thought I was just excited to see what her brother looked like all grown up. Knowing I'm a sucker for a pretty face, she gave me a sly grin. "What, is he so hot it blew your mind? Look at you, all worked up." I gave her a smile that could kill. "Jenny. I didn't see him all grown up, but he definitely saw me." Jenny paused. "I think you're making a dirty joke." "Heh. Heh." I never told Jenny about that ridiculous incident, but after that, I started dreaming about the face from the video call. There were no rules in my dreams. I'd often corner the dream version of James and demand to know, "Am I prettier than your stocks?" Damn him. Jenny noticed something was off with me during that time. But what can a rich bestie do? Just shower me with money to cheer me up, of course. After that, I started subtly asking to see pictures of her brother. At first, she didn't get it. But after a while, she finally asked me one day, "Hey, Sadie, you've been acting weird lately." I thought for 2 seconds. I've suddenly realized the best way to keep a rich bestie is to become part of her family. She was so shocked her phone fell out of her hand. We were both lying on her bed, and she scrambled off it. "You monster. Don't eat me." I scoffed. "You? Please. If I'm eating anyone, it's gonna be your brother." Since James was the only man who had seen my measurements, he had to take responsibility. I concluded with a grand declaration: "I'm going to be your sister-in-law." Jenny, sitting on the floor, threw her head back and roared with laughter. "Ha ha ha. Impossible. The only thing in James's world is money. There's no room for women." Even though Jenny was enjoying the show, she had faith in my abilities. After all, I'm a fierce girl who talks a big game, a sweet-looking package with a tiger inside. After enough trash talking, Jenny was dying to see me take action. The classic chase. He can run, but he can't hide. Get a grip. This is a story of inescapable fate. Jenny rubbed her hands together excitedly. Just think about it. A straight-laced guy who only cares about stocks. A guy so infuriatingly focused that a naked woman could be standing in front of him and he'd still choose his portfolio. Imagine the sense of accomplishment when you finally get him. Go get him, girl. I got lost in a fantasy. That means I'd have both the money and the man. It's a win-win. What bad intentions could I possibly have? I just wanted to become official family with my bestie. My future sister-in-law was more than happy to help. The moment she had an update on James, she'd pass it on to me. My brother's coming back to the States soon. I had just graduated and was busy job hunting. The man I'd been fantasizing about for 2 years from across the ocean suddenly seemed less important as real life started to grind me down. Then, one day, Jenny told me mysteriously, "I have a surprise for you." A rich person's surprise is beyond the imagination of us mere mortals. I figured my birthday was coming up and she was planning something over the top. For now, though, Richie Rich, I'm starving. Feed me. I was planning to find a job on the west side of the city, which meant I needed to rent an apartment first. I'd been looking for a job for ages and had found one, but I still hadn't sorted out a place to live. But I wasn't worried. What's the point of having a bestie with properties everywhere if you can't use them? Without a second thought, Jenny waved her hand and offered me one of her luxury condos on the west side. She said I could stay as long as I wanted and even joked, "Bring home as many guys as you want." Looks like I've thoroughly corrupted her. The night before my first day of work, I went to the condo. I hadn't moved my stuff in yet, so I just wanted to stay one night and see what I needed. My bestie said she'd had it cleaned for me a few days ago, so it was ready to move in, and she even left a gift for me. "Jen, what's the code to your door?" "Your birthday, duh." "See? That's a real bestie for you. What did I do in a past life to deserve this?" Jenny sent a smug emoji. "Hee hee, I'm your good karma." The air in a luxury condo just hits different. I sprawled on the sofa and scrolled through my phone for a bit. I was excitedly sharing all the hot guys I found on my feed with my bestie. Good things are meant to be shared. My social media feeds are exclusively filled with handsome guys. Me, so, if I ever get a boyfriend. Me, I won't check his phone. Me, but I'm terrified he'll check mine. Jenny, ha ha ha. You're something else. Me, why does my feed keep pushing guys with abs at me? Me, it's not like I want to look. Me, but he called me baby. Me, these men are always trying to seduce me with their shirtless thirst traps. Me, so indecent. After lying on the sofa for a while, I heard a strange noise coming from the bedroom. Just as I thought a burglar had broken in, an indecent, shirtless man appeared. James? This was not right. James was only shirtless from the waist up, but my traitorous eyes were completely glued to him. Holy crap. My mind immediately flashed to the surprise my bestie had prepared for me. She gave me her brother. And he agreed? His hair was dripping wet, water tracing a path down his sexy throat. Oh, my God. A hottie fresh from the shower. Did he get all squeaky clean just for me? My phone tumbled to the floor with a clatter, and James's gaze snapped over. The man with abs in real life and the man with abs on my phone screen appeared at the same time. I lunged for my phone, desperate to hide the evidence. I seized the offensive. What are you doing here? Talk about turning the tables. Great, his silence meant it was my turn to take the stage. This might not be my house, but the door code is my birthday. That's how you leave your opponent speechless. He turned and started walking back into the room. I quickly grabbed my phone and texted my bestie, the one who had pulled off this huge stunt without saying a word. Me, what is going on? Jenny, I'm the best, right? My brother came back to the States and didn't have a place to stay, so I arranged for him to stay there. Jenny, it's up to you to seize the opportunity. This is all a sister can do to help. Me. Wait for my good news. Just as I finished texting, James walked out of the room, fully dressed and carrying a suitcase. It took me 120 seconds to process everything and come up with several emergency plans. Where are you going? I blocked his path. Seeing that cool, black shirt and remembering the half-naked view from moments ago, I couldn't help but rub my hands together in anticipation. Finally, all those years of theoretical knowledge were about to be put into practice. Me, who had been crushed by the harsh realities of life, was back in the game. But I couldn't shake the feeling that James was looking at me strangely. It was almost like he was afraid of me. Exactly. He should be afraid of a woman as fierce as me. The tiny devil on my shoulder was cackling with laughter. This is your place. I shouldn't impose. He knew about my decade-plus friendship with his sister. He probably guessed that this whole setup was Jenny's doing. What a righteous sister, selling out her own family. You're already here, why leave? I saw him take a step back. His eyes were full of caution. Excellent. Just what I'd expect from an ice king. I toned down my lustful expression by about 30% and smiled. I just mean, it's so late. It's not safe for you to be out looking for a hotel by yourself. He looked at me and said with a completely straight face, I think it's less safe here. Ha ha ha, you're so funny. Don't worry, James. You're Jenny's brother, which makes you my brother. What could I possibly do to you? To infiltrate the enemy's ranks, you have to get close by playing a trusted role. Sure enough, James stopped talking. I pushed my luck and reached for his suitcase. Besides, this is still the Lin family's property. You're the owner, I'm just the guest. How could I let you leave, James? If anyone should go, it should be me. I bet he wouldn't actually kick me out. James thought for a moment and, just as I expected, let me stay. Then he added, I'll move out next month. I muttered thoughtfully to myself, oh, so I only have 1 month. James, Me, nothing. But even though I said I'd treat him like a brother, I wasn't actually going to call him that. If I got used to it, what if he really started treating me like a sister, just like Jenny? So, I usually just called him by his full name. James. James, I'm off work. Do you want Chinese food? I can pick some up on my way back. On the other end of the line, James said, no need. I cooked today. My eyes lit up. I waited patiently for him to continue. You can come home and eat. The fact that James, a man who only cared about money, had changed so much in just 1 week was all thanks to me. I, who never made breakfast, started waking up half an hour earlier just to win him over. For someone who struggles to get out of bed, this was a huge effort. When I got home from work, I'd eagerly make dinner too. He spent all day at home staring at stock data, basically freeloading off my cooking for a week. He was finally showing some growth. During dinner, even though the food was mediocre, I had to shower him with praise. That was the only way to motivate him to cook a second time. I tried to negotiate with him. How about we take turns cooking? That way, it's fair. If you can't get up in the morning, I can buy you some breakfast buns and fried dough sticks. He sat across the dining table from me, his expression as cool as ever. Okay. I can buy breakfast. I go for a run in the morning anyway. I agreed instantly. An extra half hour of sleep is an extra half hour of sleep. I was clearing the plates and putting them in the dishwasher when I heard his phone ring. He said, "Mom," and then went out to the balcony. James and Jenny's parents were divorced. The siblings grew up separately, one with their dad overseas and the other with their mom here in the country. James's return seemed to have a lot to do with his mother. I had given the master bedroom to James, so I had to use the main bathroom every time I showered. This actually worked in my favor. I changed into a light, silk summer nightgown and intentionally left my hair wet. Want a drink? I grabbed a few beers from the fridge and went to the sofa. Normally, he would have gone back to his room to look at stocks by now. That phone call must have. There was a rug in the living room, so I sat right on it while he sat on the sofa. We were close, so when he leaned over to grab a beer, he would brush against my damp hair. He smelled really good. I subtly scooted a little closer to him. That way, if he glanced down, he'd get a little peek. The only way to deal with an ice king is to find ways to pique his interest. I chatted with him about all the trivial things at my new job while we drank. Until he said my name. Sadie. I looked up and smiled at him. What's up? Nothing. He looked down, seemed to see something he shouldn't have, and quickly turned his head away. But I saw it all. I was still holding my beer in my left hand. With my right, I casually patted his leg like we were just good buddies. James, if you have something on your mind, you can talk to me. But no pressure if you don't want to. His body tensed for a second, and then he moved his leg away without a word. The empty beer bottles on the table started to pile up. I hadn't had much, but James's face was flushed, and he looked a little drunk. James, are you drunk? No. Oh. I was a little disappointed. The next second, an idea struck me. I held out my hand to him. Can you give me a hand? My legs are asleep. James opened his eyes. They were a little red, but still clear. You can use the sofa to get up. So unromantic. But I, Sadie, am an unbeatable cockroach. A guy like James wasn't going to get rid of me that easily. I used the sofa to push myself halfway up, then let my legs give out and fell right into his arms. My legs really were asleep, but the fall was intentional. His hands landed on my sensitive waist. The unfamiliar touch made me shiver. When I felt him about to push me away, I immediately accused him, Hey, where are your hands? James quickly let go, leaving me sitting on his lap. I leaned against his chest, the little devil inside me doing a victory dance. But I had to put on a pitiful act, my eyes a mix of 1 part grievance and 9 parts helplessness. James, my legs are really numb. Don't move. Let me just lean on you for a bit. Just a little while. After I'd forced a hug out of James that night, I noticed he didn't dare to look me straight in the eye anymore. Is that a good sign? With only half a month of our cohabitation left, Jenny was very concerned about my progress, but she didn't dare to come over. She could only ask me over the phone. The moment she saw me on video chat, she shrieked, "Wow! Sadie, that nightgown is so sexy." I smiled smugly. This is my battle armor. Jenny, is that all you've prepared? Me, do I, Sadie, need anything else? Jenny, I knew you were blindly confident. I'd believe you with any other guy, but my brother," she lowered her voice mysteriously. "Hey, I've got something else for you. Make sure you sign for it when it arrives." I didn't pay her much mind, all I could think about was the man. Yeah, whatever. Are we done? If we're done, I have to go say goodnight to James." Jenny cursed me out with a laugh before hanging up. She said I was choosing a man over my friend. Yeah, well, that's what happens when your brother and his money are so tempting. I knocked on James's bedroom door. "Come in." I was holding a glass of milk. This was my nightly ritual for saying goodnight. James was sitting on his bed, looking at his laptop. I didn't have to guess to know he was looking at stocks again. "I warmed up some milk for you. Drink it and go to bed early, okay?" He just grunted in response without even looking up. I was a little annoyed. Thinking of Jenny's smug tone, I accidentally let the glass wobble, spilling some milk on my nightgown. The small commotion finally got his attention. I looked down at my clothes, catching him out of the corner of my eye as he got off the bed and handed me a tissue. "You don't have to bring me milk anymore." I deliberately made a larger movement, and James, noticing, immediately looked away. "Did I get some on my face? Can you help me wipe it off?" I watched him approach with the tissue. Just as it was about to touch my skin, he suddenly stopped and pursed his lips. "There's a mirror outside." "Fine." I took a deep breath and, with a sweet smile, licked the drop of milk from the corner of my mouth. If my eyes weren't deceiving me, James's hand holding the tissue trembled slightly. The package Jenny prepared for me arrived the next day. James was the one who signed for it. I was still at work at the time, wondering why this straight-laced guy would bother to tear his eyes away from his stock charts to text me. Turns out, it was because a package had arrived. Jenny even sent me a message, "Unbox it in front of my brother for maximum effect." Me, what are you plotting? Give me a hint. Jenny, nope, it won't be fun if I tell you. Me, fine, woman. You're playing with fire. The package was on the coffee table. I called James out from his room where he was engrossed in stocks. "Part of this is for you." I was just guessing based on what Jenny had said. I eagerly tore open the package, my eyes fixed on James's expression. That perpetually stoic face of his finally showed a tiny crack. The next second, my gaze fell on the soft fabric in my hands, and my own face cracked a little. What the hell, it's a cosplay outfit. A black and white puffy skirt, black stockings, and oh, an animal ear headband. A Catgirl-made outfit. My brain cells went into overdrive. Oh, I noticed we didn't have an apron in the house, so I bought one specifically for cooking. I tried to hide the stockings underneath, but with James standing right there, it was a pretty pathetic attempt. "You're going to wear this to cook?" His expression was a mix of suspicion, disbelief, and a little bit of shock. I'd never seen such a rich array of emotions on his face before, and I couldn't resist teasing him. "Yeah, want me to wear it for you someday?" Just as he was about to flee, I shoved the cat ear headband into his hands. "This is for you." Well, I did say there was something in it for him, and this was the only thing that remotely qualified. He tossed it back like a hot potato, so flustered he blurted out, "You wear it." I squinted, a half smile playing on my lips. "Oh. So this is your thing. Sadie." Oh, he's getting mad. I put the cat ears on my own head, tilted my head up, and asked, "Meow, meow?" James finally stormed back to his bedroom, walking so stiffly he looked like a robot. I took off the cat ears, twirling them in my hand, feeling extremely pleased with myself. Looks like Mr. Straight-Laced has a type after all. The maid outfit hadn't even made its debut, but the cat ear headband was enough to scare the man into hiding for days. He was avoiding me like the plague. He'd get up earlier than me and probably wait until I was asleep to come home at night. Don't ask me how I know. The steaming hot breakfast on the dining table every morning was my answer. Under today's breakfast was a note, "I'm moving out the day after tomorrow." That note hit me harder than my teacher telling me finals were in 3 days. I had a few too many drinks at the department dinner that night, feeling a little down. My project team had just successfully wrapped up a project, and our manager took us all out to celebrate. I was worried I'd get back too late, so I texted James to go home early, so he wouldn't have to sneak back in the middle of the night after I was home. He didn't reply. When we moved on to a karaoke bar, I was still glued to my phone. The project manager came over with a glass of wine. Well, if it isn't our newcomer, Sadie, hiding over here. The middle-aged man with a beer belly slammed my phone down on the table. The night is young. Come on, have a drink. I held my tongue for 3 seconds, but the greasy man showed no sign of moving his hand. In fact, his other hand started creeping its way over. Just as it was about to touch my waist, my silent phone rang. I practically teleported to the side. Sorry, boss, I have to take this. James, it's already 10 o'clock. Aren't you coming home? His tone was serious. For some reason, it reminded me of my dad. I leaned against the door of the karaoke room, my head spinning a little, but my sassy attitude was still intact. It's still early. The night has just begun. Beep, beep, beep. He hung up on me. I chuckled, went to the restroom, and when I came back, they still showed no signs of leaving. As a newbie, I couldn't really leave early. But worried the manager would bother me again, I just hogged the microphone and sang non-stop. We didn't leave until almost midnight. I was walking behind the group when I saw I had a missed call from James at 11, but I hadn't heard or seen it while I was singing. Everyone said their goodbyes, and since I didn't know them very well, I ended up alone. The manager hadn't left either. Sadie, let me give you a ride home. I looked at my phone. No need to trouble you, boss. Someone's coming to pick me up. If James was still awake, and I called him acting pitiful, he'd probably come get me, right? We had been peaceful roommates for over 20 days, after all. The manager said, "Hey, don't be a stranger." With no one else around, he dropped the act and grabbed my waist, trying to drag me into his car. My head was spinning, and I was a little drunk, but I wasn't stupid. I played along, pretending to stumble, and accidentally stepped on his foot with my high heel. The manager immediately doubled over in pain. "Oh, boss, why are you bowing to me? How inappropriate." I was about to lay on a few more sarcastic remarks when another hand grabbed my waist. I flinched. The neon-lit streets around here felt incredibly unsafe. I raised my hand to swing, but the person caught it. "Sadie, it's me. James." He actually came. I let all my guards down and went limp in his arms. Surprisingly, he didn't push me away this time. He glared at my manager with a fierce look in his eyes. A completely illogical thought popped into my head: is James going to punch him? But then I remembered my manager was the one getting hit, and James wasn't drunk. I'd be the one getting fired. So I quickly said, "Boss, my boyfriend is here to pick me up, so I'll be going now." The moment we got in the car, he said, "A girl shouldn't stay out so late or drink so much." I thought to myself, he didn't deny it when I used him as my fake boyfriend. I don't know what got into him, but he drove like a maniac. When we got out of the car, my feet had barely touched the ground before I felt dizzy and squatted down. A pair of long, trouser-clad legs appeared in front of me. I knew it was him. "Get up." I said, "Okay, let's go." But I didn't get up. I just took baby steps while squatting. Seeing my drunken antics, James sighed in resignation, crouched down with his back to me, and said, "Get on. I'll carry you." I got my wish and he carried me. As soon as we were home, he put me down. He walked a few steps, saw I was still standing there, and came back. He held up 2 fingers. "Sadie, how many is this?" It was 2. In my hazy state, an idea struck me. I grabbed his well-defined hand, spread out his other 3 fingers, and then placed my own hand over his, lacing our fingers together. I giggled stupidly. Hee, holding hands. He held up one finger. I stared at it for a long time. Just as he was about to give up, I lunged forward and popped it in my mouth. As he stared at me with a look of shock and dismay, I left a ring of saliva on it and said, "Lollipop." After my shower, I tiptoed into his room. I didn't expect him to take even longer to shower than I did. I sat on his bed. When he came out, he was only wearing a pair of briefs. Not bad. He was packing. Caught off guard by my presence, he stood frozen for 2 seconds before darting back into the bathroom to put on a robe. He frowned. "Sadie, go back to your own room. I'm scared of the dark." I sat on his bed, tracing circles with my finger. I spouted some nonsense, successfully convincing him I was still drunk. I patted the empty space on the bed. "James, there's room here. Come on." And then James walked out. He went to sleep on the sofa. I rolled around on his bed a few times, unsatisfied. I crept out to the living room, squatted by the sofa, and just watched him in the moonlight. Just as I leaned in close enough to count his eyelashes, his eyes flew open. Fearing he'd see through my act, I dropped my head onto his neck. "James, I'm scared of the dark." Scared of the dark but still coming to the darkest place. I quickly added, "I don't want to be alone. Will you stay with me?" He didn't say yes or no, just awkwardly patted my head a few times. He tried to reason with me. "Get up first." A dim lamp was on in the living room. I was squatting by the sofa, and he sat up, seeming to think for a long time before holding out his hand to me. I blinked, grabbed his hand, and he started to pull me up, intending for me to sit next to him. But I had already anticipated his move and plopped right onto his lap. I straddled him, and the movement was so big that the strap of my nightgown slipped off my shoulder. His eyes darted to where they shouldn't be, and I could feel his body temperature rising. Down below, something had awakened. James. The more he tried to back away, the closer I got, until he was pressed against the back of the sofa with nowhere to go. I stared into his eyes and said, "I like you." Then I leaned down and kissed his bobbing Adam's apple. I always thought it was the sexiest part of a man. Every time he spoke, I'd imagine what it would be like to kiss it. Today, I finally did it. "Sadie." I kissed his throat, and he kissed my lips. "Don't move," he said, his voice strained with restraint. But I had waited too long for this moment. I wanted to see him lose control because of me. I reached my hand down. "I can help you." I pulled back my clean, soft hand, but the memory of last night's touch lingered in my palm, thrilling and terrifying. Jenny stared at me suspiciously. "Hey, what are you spacing out for? My brother's moving out tomorrow. Aren't you worried at all?" I shook my head. What was there to worry about? The prey was already halfway in the trap. Ever heard of playing hard to get? Don't rush. Sometimes distance makes the heart grow fonder. I'd been pushing him so hard, and yesterday was a breakthrough. It was time to give him some space to think. "How did James find you at the karaoke bar?" I had only told my bestie my plans, just in case something happened. Sure enough, it was Jenny who told him, but only because James had asked her first. That's why she was here today, demanding to know what happened. It was a good thing James had gone out early this morning on business, or she wouldn't have dared to come. Me, I was drunk last night, so I let loose a little. Your brother had a reaction to me. Jenny, he had a reaction. I was super calm. Why are you so surprised? Your brother is an ice king, not impotent. Jenny, I guess you're right. And then? What happened then? Me, what else do you want to hear? The rest is rated R. Jenny, I'm 22, just like you. I sighed regretfully. But we didn't go all the way. To be honest, I was still a little scared. It was my first time, after all. Looks like I'll have to drink more next time. Jenny, looks like James is not getting away this time. She sighed, amazed. A woman 3 parts drunk, acting till you cry. James moved out. To be precise, he moved back to his own place. I hadn't seen him in half a month. I went to visit my bestie over the weekend and unexpectedly ran into him. Jenny lives with her mother, Mrs. Miller. I used to go to her house all the time when we were in school. Besides Mrs. Miller, the house was full of maids and nannies. Mrs. Miller was always delighted to see me. My glib tongue was always honest with elders, and I was a master of sweet talk. Jenny once said that if I were a boy, her mom would have married her off to me. Back in school, I'd show up empty-handed. Now that I was working and had a salary, I bought Mrs. Miller a little gift. It charmed her so much she immediately told the kitchen to make more delicious food. She even went to the trouble of peeling fruit for me herself. My mom treats you better than her own daughter, Jenny said sourly from the side. Mrs. Miller heard her but kept peeling. You? If you were half as sensible as your sister, I'd be so relieved. I'm a few months older than Jenny, so Mrs. Miller had Jenny call me her older sister. After chatting with Mrs. Miller for a while, Jenny dragged me to their swimming pool. Swimming in the summer is the best. I was lounging by the edge of the pool, sipping an iced drink. Hey, your mom was in the middle of saying something when you dragged me away. Jenny, come on, are you here to see my mom or to see me? I said shamelessly, I'm just getting on my future mother-in-law's good side. She patted my shoulder, full of confidence in me. Don't worry, my mom is so charmed by you she can't think straight. She's practically ready to marry me off to you. I recoiled in disgust. No, thanks. Hey, you. Me, besides, with our heights, who would be on top? Jenny is almost 5 feet 7 inches, while I'm still struggling to hit 5 in a fight. You'd definitely be on top, but in terms of height. Me, hey. You're actually thinking about it. If I were the one on top, wouldn't that make your brother the bottom? That 6-foot-tall guy, a bottom? Jenny looked at me with horror. Girl, you can't be having thoughts like that. Who's the one with the dirty mind here? Actually, my bestie leaned in close to my ear, looking like she deserved all the credit. I'm coming clean. What? She had piqued my curiosity. Jenny, the truth is, for the past 2 years, I haven't just been feeding you intel on James. I've also been feeding him a lot of info about you, especially pretty pictures. I narrowed my eyes. Not bad, girl. No wonder James seems to know me so well. This silly girl had probably sold me out completely. She was so sweet and innocent, she didn't even catch the hidden meaning in my words. She giggled. Hee hee, of course. I'm not like some people who choose men over their friends. For me, my bestie always comes first. I was so touched. What did I do to deserve such a devoted, rich friend? I must have saved the galaxy in a past life. Hey, how are you liking your job? Suddenly, the watermelon juice in my hand didn't taste so good anymore. I sighed sadly. The hardest part of a job isn't the work, it's the people. As an heiress, Jenny never had to suck it up. What happened? Everything else is fine, it's just the manager of my department, a middle-aged guy, greasy hair, balding, he's disgusting. Jenny looked shocked, then angry. He's harassing you at work. I put a hand on hers and patted her shoulder. Calm down, calm down. Do you know who I am? I'd never let him take advantage of me. But as a rookie in the workplace, I didn't really have the power to report him. But Jenny knew I always acted tougher than I was. If it gets too bad, just quit. Come work at my mom's company. I can easily find you a relaxed position. I hugged my rich friend, overcome with gratitude. Just hearing you say that makes me feel so much better. I'll see how it goes. If that old creep gets too out of line, I'll just quit on the spot. Little Miss Eris puffed out her chest heroically. Yeah. I'll support you. No one gets to bully one of the Lin family's own. She yelled, then quickly leaned in close to my ear and glanced behind me. I just saw my brother arrive. So that's why she yelled so loud. My divine helper. No wonder my mom had them prepare so much food. James is here today too. I gave her a look that clearly said, "You didn't even know this crucial piece of intel? What good are you to me?" At dinner, James sat next to Mrs. Miller, and I sat across from him. Mrs. Miller even enthusiastically introduced us. "Sadie, do you remember? This is the James you used to call your big brother." Of everyone at the table, Mrs. Miller was probably the only one who didn't know the full story. I silently apologized to her in my head. Then I said with an innocent face, "I remember." Mrs. Miller looked worried for some reason. She looked between the siblings, and then, as if she felt I was the only one who could understand, she fixed her gaze on me. "Sadie." "Me, yes, Mrs. Miller." "What is it?" "Mrs. Miller, tell me, at my age, shouldn't I be enjoying the happiness of a family?" I noticed both siblings simultaneously looked at me. Facing 3 pairs of eyes, I wasn't flustered at all. I smoothly replied, "Yes, absolutely." "Mrs. Miller, sigh, neither of these two let me have any peace. Jenny is out there with a string of random boyfriends, and your brother James hasn't had a single relationship in all these years. These 2 siblings, one a hopeless romantic Jenny, the other a hopeless non-romantic James." I nodded like a bobblehead. Jenny secretly pinched me under the table, and I quickly added, "Jenny is still young, it's normal for her to want to have fun." As for James, I looked up at him and found he was also staring at me, his eyes no longer as cold as they were at the beginning. James is young and focused on his career. "Mrs. Miller, he's 25. He's not that young." Yeah, he had driven the strong, career-minded Mrs. Miller to resort to all sorts of matchmaking tactics. The main issue was that James had never had a girlfriend, which was a real worry for his parents. James said to his mom, "My career is my priority." "Mrs. Miller, is a career what you're lacking?" Not to mention he was already playing the stock market, making a ton of money just by sitting at home. Plus, Mrs. Miller's company was huge. Jenny was clearly a typical, spoiled rich kid. James had only come back to the States because Mrs. Miller had begged him to come help out. "Your dad said you didn't find anyone you liked overseas. Surely there must be a girl you like here in the country, right?" My guess, the company was just an excuse. Marriage and kids were the real agenda. Jenny was happily enjoying the drama on the side, while I was adding fuel to the fire. Yeah, James, your mom is right." James shot me a warning look. "Mrs. Miller, see? Even Sadie understands. I just don't know which lucky guy will get to marry such a wonderful girl like Sadie." Jenny took the opportunity to shoot me a wink. I cleared my throat theatrically and said in a soft but bold voice, "Yeah, lucky for my boyfriend." Jenny's wink froze mid-air. James's expression visibly faltered, and he stared at me blankly. Only the clueless Mrs. Miller was still lamenting, "Oh, what a pity." A pity for what? Was she just trying to set me up with James a second ago? "Mrs. Miller, can I take back what I just said? Is it too late?" After my blatant flirting at lunch, James cornered me in their garden. "I, Sadie, have roamed the world for years and have never been afraid of anyone. I may be short, but I won't lose in attitude." Well, I didn't expect you to come looking for me." He was the one who hit it and quit it that night. The next day, my phone had a notification for a huge transfer from him. I was a little mad at the time, but on second thought, it was very James-like. All he sees is money. But now, there should be something else, right? So I accepted it as my due. "What, you thought my skills were good and want a long-term collaboration?" "Sure." James couldn't stand it anymore and cut off my dirty talk. "Stop pretending. I'm not stupid." I knew what he meant. He thought I was bold but inexperienced. Fine, it was my first time. A few more sessions and I guarantee I'll serve you. Shut up. He closed the distance and clamped a hand over my mouth. His mouth said no, but his body said yes. His ears were beet red. I smiled at him and stuck out my tongue, licking his palm. He flinched and immediately let go, warningly saying my name, Sadie. I decided to quit while I was ahead and asked him what he wanted. He asked very subtly, "Is your job going well? My little helper Jenny really is fast." I put on a reluctant act. "Yeah, it's going great." Sure enough, a few days later, James was the one to compromise first. Mainly thanks to my manager. I admit I'm a little too charming for my own good. That manager harassed me again and again, and finally, he just blatantly followed me home. Thankfully, Jenny's apartment was in a high-end building with great security, so he couldn't get in. But that creepy old man really got on my nerves, so I went ahead and called the police. I saw James as soon as I walked out of the police station. He had a cigarette between his lips, the smoke curling around him, looking impossibly cool. Just as the nausea in my stomach had settled, that disgusting thing came back. The manager threatened me, "You just wait." James immediately walked over and threw the cigarette at his feet. I think from the angle, he actually wanted to throw it at his face. He pulled me aside, shielding me behind him. "You want to go back in there?" The manager walked away, muttering curses. My mind went blank. I was just staring at him. So hot. James saw I was distracted, looked around, and asked, "Are you okay?" I grabbed his hand and managed to be cheeky. "I can still go for 300 rounds tonight." "How did you get here?" I asked, sitting in his car. He said, "Put on your seatbelt." I tilted my head, putting on an act. That was so scary. I'm still shaken up. The car's system was beeping insistently about the seatbelt. Finally, he gave in and leaned over to buckle it for me. I took the chance to wrap my arms around his neck, begging pitifully, "James, can I just hug you for a second?" It was 30% acting, 70% real. What girl wouldn't be scared after being followed by a creep? He didn't push me away and finally answered my earlier question. "I was just passing by." Once I calmed down, I teased him, "James, who just happens to pass by a police station. That's the worst excuse ever." He was silent for 2 seconds, and then I think he told the truth. "That manager at your company is bad news, so I came to find you." He hadn't been clear last time and couldn't sleep, so he finally couldn't help but come looking for me. Me, yeah, I'm quitting tomorrow. I noticed the tension in his face finally relax. James took me out for a big dinner. Afterward, I thought he would take me home, but the road back started to look more and more unfamiliar. "Where are you taking me?" He said Jenny's place wasn't safe right now and that he was taking me to his new place. The change was so fast that even a veteran like me was caught off guard. An ice king taking a girl home on his own initiative? James added, "It's too late for a hotel. It's not safe." I laughed. Hotels aren't safe, but I am. For him, I was definitely not safe. Especially now, knowing he was taking me to his place, my heart started to race. But that fire was slowly extinguished when I saw a woman standing at his door. I saw a flicker of surprise on James's face. Oh, so they were old acquaintances. But his cool reaction made me feel a little better. "Am I interrupting something tonight?" I whispered in his ear, deliberately getting close enough for the other woman to see and get jealous. To my surprise, James explained, "She's a blind date my mom set up." "Oh, so you've been on blind dates?" My teeth ached. I deeply regretted not being clearer with Mrs. Miller at dinner that day. I was clearly the top candidate to be Mrs. Miller's daughter-in-law. Now a blind date was showing up at his door. The date must have gone pretty well. When the woman called out James's name, I deliberately pressed myself against him, acting as coy and dramatic as possible. "Honey, isn't having me with you tonight enough?" The woman's expression stiffened, then turned to disbelief. "But Mrs. Miller said you were single." I secretly pinched him, then chimed in, "My man is single, but what about his girl?" With just a few words, I triggered that universal human curiosity for gossip. Sure enough, the woman looked at me, and I continued to spin my ridiculous story. His girl might be okay with me, but she might not tolerate you, honey. James's mouth was twitching so much he looked like he was about to develop Parkinson's. Naturally, I won the battle. The woman practically fled. I realized belatedly, hey, James, do you think she's going to tell your mom? Probably. He didn't seem to care. He got my room ready, but I just sprawled on his sofa. I'll just sleep on the couch. He frowned, seemingly confused by my tantrum. I said sarcastically, don't mind me. You go to bed. You need to be in top shape for your next blind date. Sadie, I was forced into it. I was very satisfied with this change in him, his gradual concessions, his willingness to explain. But I kept my cool. Emicham, I get it. You find someone, bring her home, and I'll leave. I know you're just taking care of me because you're Jenny's brother. He said, who said I see you as a sister? I stopped mid-act. Then what am I? James said 2 words, my girlfriend. In less than 2 months, I had conquered the legendary Ice King who only desires money. It felt too unreal. Those 2 words sounded so light and meaningless coming from his mouth. Is this jerk just trying to placate me? How are we boyfriend and girlfriend? He glanced at me, then started to head back to his room. I kept probing. You paid me last time, and I took the money. Are you sure we're not in an employer-employee relationship? He stopped halfway, then turned back. I don't know what word or phrase set him off, but he took my face in his hands and looked at me deeply. Then he kissed me. No, he bit me. I never thought that I, the fierce and flirty Sadie, would be the one left stunned by a kiss. This was not in my script. Once my brain rebooted, I went and knocked on his bedroom door. He appeared, shirtless. Good Lord, it wasn't me who was acting weird, it was like James had been replaced by an imposter. I poked his bare abs and commented like a rogue, nice body. This time he didn't flinch. He stood there calmly and let me touch all I wanted. In the end, I was the one who blushed. Unwilling to lose, I pressed on. I know that in some Western countries, kissing is just a form of greeting. Don't try to fool me. James leaned down slightly, meeting my eyes. You've been holding on to that time I gave you money, haven't you? Fine. Fine what? He suddenly swept me up by the waist, and the world spun. He tossed me onto the big bed. I rubbed my butt and instinctively scrambled backward, my words failing me. You. It was like a switch had been flipped in James. Isn't this what you wanted? For me to prove it to you? He loomed over me. This time, it's free. I was defeated. Me, a seasoned connoisseur of hotties, defeated by an ice king. The party involved is very displeased. After the storm had passed, I stared at him with dead fish eyes. James. Did you secretly watch some porn or take some pills behind my back? He pinned me down again. Oh, this defiant mouth of mine. A trembling roar echoed in the air. Aren't you supposed to be frigid? And he had the nerve to just grunt in agreement. So many tricks up his sleeve. Frigid, my ass. I was resigned to my fate. My hands are going to fall off. He said okay, then switched to an even more outrageous position. We still hadn't gone all the way, but based on my extensive theoretical knowledge, this was worse than just getting it over with. There were 2 knocks on the bathroom door. James called from outside, Sadie, did you fall in the toilet? I brushed my teeth furiously. That jerk, already using a pet name. Frigid, my ass. Thinking about what he had just done, the taste still lingering in my mouth, I was fuming with shame and anger. My skin is the sensitive type, the slightest touch leaves a mark. My collarbones, wrists, palms, and the insides of my thighs were covered in red patches. What a perverted beast. But then I remembered I was the one who started it all, so I had to just swallow my pride. To make matters worse, the next day Jenny shared a blog post with me titled, 10 Ways to Conquer an Ice King. I'm just thrilled. I was going to quit my job today, and James offered to drive me. Still fuming, I stubbornly refused to get in his car. When I got to the office, my colleagues immediately swarmed me. "Hey, Sadie, you're late. You missed a huge show." I asked, "What show?" My colleague looked at me strangely. "The manager got fired. Didn't you see? Upper management came down this morning to handle it." It was a huge scene. She was a bit more cautious than usual. "When the manager was fighting with the company, he said your name. You did this, didn't you?" I was stunned. I didn't have that kind of power. Could it be James? I gave a vague answer and asked, "Do you know who I should give my resignation letter to?" My colleague said, "You got the manager fired. Why are you still quitting? Look at that." Even if the manager was gone, who knows what people would be saying behind my back. Besides, I already wrote the letter. Can't let it go to waste. After leaving my old company, I first called my bestie, just to be sure. My rich bestie definitely had that kind of ruthless, protective streak. But it turned out Jenny didn't even know I'd been followed and had called the police last night. What? That scumbag has some nerve. Jenny's voice threatened to burst my eardrums. Where is that piece of trash? I'm going to go beat him up. A wave of warmth washed over me. "Jen, thanks, but it's all taken care of." I added, "Since you didn't know about it, it must have been James." "James?" My bestie shrieked again. "How would he help you? Wait, are you two moving that fast?" Feeling giddy, I instinctively nodded, then remembered she couldn't see me over the phone. "Oh, I guess so. Also, your brother is not frigid at all." Jenny stuttered in shock. "No way. Does this mean I'm going to be an aunt?" My rich bestie, without batting an eye, sent me a huge cash gift. And I, without batting an eye, accepted it. Wasting even a second would be disrespectful to my future sister-in-law. I solemnly spouted nonsense, "I'll work hard on it. No rest for the wicked." But the whole Ice King thing seemed to be true after all. I went back to James's place, which was now my turf too. I showed James the medical report Jenny had sent me. "Are you really frigid?" For the first time, in a choice between me and his stock charts, James chose me. A joyous occasion. "What do you think?" I stood with my hands on my hips, acting completely unreasonable. "How would I know if you were faking it last night?" The truth was, I had no experience and didn't know if a man could fake being good at it. He stared at me for a while, then suddenly smiled. He hooked an arm around my waist and pulled me forcefully against him. With just that one move, I chickened out. He said that the medical report was something he had made up to fend off relatives who were pushing him to find a partner. He had never actually been tested. I really wasn't interested in women before, but now, I am. Okay, I was happy again. A woman's happiness is just that simple. I stood on my tiptoes and kissed his Adam's apple, a reward for his perfect answer. He then kissed me back even more fiercely. Now that I was unemployed, I became a total couch potato. James, on the other hand, was out every day. It seemed Mrs. Miller had made him go to the company. When he came home, I overheard him on the phone with her. "Mom, I really have a girlfriend. I'm not lying to you." Hearing the noise, I came out of the kitchen holding a spatula. I saw the warmth in his eyes, and my heart softened. James said, "She's wonderful." Well, the Ice King learned how to say sweet things. I scratched my head and slunk back to the kitchen with my spatula, but I could still hear his voice from behind me. "Yeah, I'll bring her to see you soon." I have to say, these past few days of cooking and waiting for him to come home really felt like we were an old married couple. I have to go back to my university tomorrow. My thesis advisor needs my help with something. James, when will you be done? I'm not sure. My whole graduation project group is going back to help. Don't come pick me up, we'll probably have a get-together afterward. He thought for a moment and said, then let me know when you're done, and I'll come get you. I was secretly delighted. Looks like even an ice king will thaw in the spring. But I never expected to run into my bestie at the party. My bestie was in the same school as me, just a different department, but we were always together. Everyone knew that I, Sadie, had a very generous bestie. So generous that she unintentionally scared off all my potential suitors. With a rich bestie who not only buys you everything but also goes out of her way to make you happy, what man could compare? Of course, James was an exception. When people saw my bestie, they enthusiastically insisted she stay. I secretly whispered in her ear, you know they're just going to make you pay for everything. Why did you come? My rich bestie waved her hand grandly and said, so you can have fun. That one sentence was more intoxicating than any wine. And so, I got drunk. My 5 feet 7 inches bestie towered over my barely 5 feet 3 inches frame, making me feel incredibly safe. I started whining, Jen, maybe I should just dump your brother and marry you instead. I was just attracted to your brother's looks, but you're different. My feelings for you are as real as it gets. To really praise someone, you need a comparison. I admit, I was being a bit of a player right then. James wasn't here anyway, and the words were coming out of my mouth. I swore my allegiance. Jen, if it weren't for the fact that I want to be family with a rich girl, to be tied to my bestie for life, I would never have gone after your brother. Jenny looked like she had seen a ghost and kept shaking me. Stop talking. I wasn't done with my tirade. It's true. I'm absolutely devoted to you. Jenny whispered in my ear, her teeth seemingly gritted, Sadie, my brother is here to pick you up. I answered his call for you when you were drunk. Oh God, he probably heard all that soul-crushing stuff you just said. We're so screwed. My brain was lagging. She was talking, but I was on my own track. Jenny was about to cry. I was so proud. See? I moved her to tears with just a few words. Until a divine hand pulled me out of my bestie's embrace. I kicked my legs wildly. Who is it? Who? Me, James. That voice was damn familiar, but it was also cold and unsettling. I was silent for 3 seconds, then recognized the person through my drunken haze. Oh, the Ice King. And some anonymous onlookers. James, holding back his anger, asked me, so, now that you've caught me, what's next? My brain short-circuited. Become Jenny's sister-in-law and run away with her into the sunset. Fine. I'll make your wish come true. I paid a heavy price for those words. James must have heard all my flirty nonsense and decided to torture me for it. When I woke up from my hangover, I found I had been thoroughly devoured. The aching soreness all over my body and the intense discomfort down below left me lying in bed, questioning my life. Last night, did I crash and burn? I recalled fragments of the night and guiltily moved the hand resting on my waist. I hadn't moved an inch before I was pulled even closer. Sadie, you're trying to run away after you've had your fill? He nibbled on my ear, and I shivered. Who devoured whom, exactly? But this time, I kept my mouth shut. No, I was drunk yesterday. I can explain. I met his gaze. He clearly had a go on, let's see what you come up with expression. Well, I admit I'm a shallow woman. To save my own skin, I even sold myself out. At first, I was really just after your money, but then, I was attracted to your looks, so, anyway, I seduced you because I like you. Even though it started shallowly, after we got to know each other on a deeper level, I found that I liked you even more. He just stared at me and slowly uttered a sentence that almost made me die on the spot. Oh, so you like me more because I'm good in bed, is that it? This is not the time to be making dirty jokes. In the end, the doorbell saved me from my precarious situation. I pricked up my ears and heard a voice outside the door. It sounded like Mrs. Miller. You're here, so why are you hiding her? Where's your girlfriend? Bring her out for Mom to see. She's sleeping. It's not convenient. It is convenient. I'm very convenient. I quickly got dressed and appeared at the bedroom door, ready to make a good impression. Mrs. Miller, it's me. Mrs. Miller looked shocked. Her gaze darted back and forth between us, finally settling on me. I awkwardly removed my hand from where it was propped against the wall. Oh, it's Sadie. That's great, that's great. Come home for dinner whenever you have time. Mrs. Miller was clearly very pleased. Her next sentence was straight to the point. You two should date seriously, find a time for both families to meet and get engaged. James nodded seriously. Okay. The beast had left quite a few marks on me, and I uncomfortably tugged at my clothes. Mrs. Miller understood. Although I'd love to have a grandchild now, you young people still need to have some self-control. Mrs. Miller didn't stay for long. I sensed the danger in his eyes and tried to escape. But his long legs gave him an advantage. He was heading for the bedroom, half dragging, half carrying me. What are you doing? You. I was stunned. Before I could decide whether to comment on his lack of pants or his horny behavior, I just sat on the floor and played dead. Mrs. Miller just said young people need to have self-control. He effortlessly picked me up, coolly and ruthlessly saying, let's continue. We're not finished yet. I tried every excuse I could think of. Haven't you looked at your stocks in a while? Go look at them. James didn't hesitate for a second. Stocks aren't as important as you. Me, with my lifelong need to be strong. Shouted defiantly. This is a win-win romance. Epilogue. James and I had been together for over 6 months. Finally, under someone's not-so-subtle urging, we put meeting the parents on the agenda. After all, James, being 3 years older than me, wasn't getting any younger. But this time, it was just him meeting my parents, since I had already met his family long ago. Jenny, of course, was my bestie. I had met Mrs. Miller many times and had even won her over. As for James's dad, the moment he found out his son had such an outstanding, beautiful, and generous girlfriend like me, he flew in from overseas without a second thought. The first thing he said to me was, I know. Jenny told me a long time ago that you were a wonderful girl she found specifically for her brother. My rich bestie is so reliable. It was like a father-daughter tag team. They had already gotten my in-laws on board while I was still just daydreaming about it. So James was basically gift-wrapped and delivered right to my wolf's den. For that, I have to be eternally loyal to my rich girl, and, well, I guess to a certain someone who's good in bed. Speak of the devil. I had just told the staff at my coffee shop that we were closing for the day when his call came in. We're meeting your parents tomorrow. Want to get off work a little early today? I'll come pick you up. You think I'm the manager of a coffee shop? Wrong. I'm the owner. I had quit my job less than 6 months after graduating. Jobs were hard to find these days, and after a month of being a slacker, I had a sudden idea: why not just be my own boss? I was tired of working for other people. So I opened a coffee shop. But I didn't have that much starting capital. I was originally going to ask my rich bestie for a loan, but when James found out I went to her instead of him, my boyfriend, he not only punished me severely that night but also handed me the keys to a shop the next day. I was so shocked. My back, which was about to break, suddenly felt strong again. I had to reward him for that with a good sleep. This is the joy of winning without even trying. So, naturally, I opened a coffee shop, and James became the second largest shareholder after me. Jenny wanted to invest too, but a certain man soaking in a vat of vinegar shut her down completely. With the massive starting capital he forced on me, I'd be letting myself down if I didn't turn it into a national coffee chain. Anyway, that's the story of the coffee shop. Now back to the main point. James now not only has to watch the stock market but also has to help out at his mom's company. My coffee shop is downtown, not far away. But in just a few minutes, another customer walked in. Sorry, we're closed. The person glanced at the time, clearly surprised. But it's only 6 in the afternoon. I saw my staff member's hand hovering just shy of hanging up the closed sign. I'm a very precise person. It's okay, handsome. You look like my kind of guy. You can be the last customer of the day. I will not admit it was because he was handsome. Even with a mask on, just from his eyes and his build, he was incredibly hot. And I'd get to see him take off his mask to drink his coffee. I told my staff to go home and that I would leave after this customer. Coincidentally, James texted to say he was stuck in traffic. Hello, sir, what can I get for you? An iced Americano. He paused for a moment. I have a friend coming soon, is it okay if? No problem. It's not like they were going to be drinking until midnight. Don't worry, it'll be quick. I won't take up too much of your time, he said, but didn't leave the counter right away. Is there anything else? I asked. I thought I'd have to wait for him to drink his coffee to see his face, but he just went ahead and took off his mask. Can you do me a favor? Just as I'd hoped, he was a total dreamboat. Coffee shops are magnets for handsome men. I admit I've seen a lot in the few months since I opened, but this one was especially handsome. One more look and I might be tempted to stray. I quickly recited a calming mantra in my head. I needed to get this sucker for a pretty face thing under control, or I'd piss off my boyfriend. I figured a handsome guy's request couldn't be too outrageous, so I readily agreed. Only after I agreed did I find out what the favor was. You want me to pretend to be your girlfriend? To get rid of your blind date? The handsome guy waved his hands shyly. No, I'll just tell her I'm pursuing you. He couldn't just ruin a girl's reputation like that. See? His appeal just shot up again. Stop. It can't go up. I have a man. Sure enough, 5 minutes later a girl arrived. Another 5 minutes later, I had just stood there like a vase, earned a questioning and then resigned look from the girl, and the favor was done. That was too easy. I didn't even get to act. Thanks for your help just now, the handsome guy said, coming over to thank me and ask for my name. Can I get your number? Before I could answer, he already had his phone's QR scanner open and added shyly, we seem to have a connection. Can I pursue you? I was shocked. No, you can't. At the same time, a voice from the doorway echoed mine. James strode in. She's married. Those last 2 words were brutal. The handsome guy politely apologized and left, leaving me to face the storm alone. I guiltily looked left and right, not daring to look at James. He loosened his tie, his eyes cold. This coffee shop is doing great. Every other day someone comes in asking for the owner's number. Tell me, who's your favorite? I immediately started sucking up. You, of course. I like you the most, the very most. Oh. If I remember correctly, you have a private lounge here for your afternoon naps. Alright, let's go to the lounge and see just how you most like me. Wait, aren't we meeting my parents tomorrow? Don't we have to buy gifts? I grabbed his hand, trying to appeal to his reason. James, I already bought them. Then why are you off work so early today? Oh, I was a little nervous, but I'm not nervous anymore. He bent down and scooped me up. Let's go to the lounge. No. Don't ruin my innocent, pitiful lounge. The closed sign was already hanging on the door. In the dark coffee shop, only the light from the back lounge was on. But no matter how wild I was, I never planned on having a great harmony session in the coffee shop lounge, so I didn't have any condoms. Afterward, he whispered in my ear, this can be a gift for your parents too. A gift, my ass. James, do you want me to help you at the ambush tomorrow or not? Didn't you say I could just sit there like a walking mountain of gold and win them over? Were you lying to me? Do I look like I'm in any position to lie to you right now? I'm so tired. Please, just act like a human being. But the next day, at the meeting with my parents, I witnessed the power of a walking mountain of gold. James walked in, first winning over my parents with carefully selected gifts. Then he pulled out a gold card, a string of car keys, and the deeds to all his properties, some of which were villas in my name only. Holy crap. 5 minutes into the visit, they had already accepted this son-in-law for life, and probably for the next life and the one after that too. I've decided, James. At the river of oblivion, if you dare to drink that water of forgetting, I'll knock the bowl out of your hands. Fine. I'll knock yours over too. Some things you just shouldn't joke about. They come true. Just after both sets of parents had met and we had gotten engaged, planning to get married in a year, I found out I had a little bun in the oven. Doing the math, it seems the bun was planted during that shameful session in the coffee shop. So, because of this bun, the planned wedding had to be rushed. James felt incredibly guilty about this. He not only took meticulous care of me during my pregnancy, but he also secretly transferred all his real estate into my name. My bestie was the one who told me. So, I basically used a baby to become an ordinary, unremarkable rich woman. In the early stages of my pregnancy, I was still full of energy. But as my belly started to show, all sorts of dramatic mood swings kicked in. One day, I cried because I was eating a lemon. I was craving it so much, but it was so sour that I just ate it while tears streamed down my face. I felt so wronged. When James came home from work and saw my swollen eyes, he was terrified. When he found out I was crying because I wanted a lemon but it was too sour, he didn't know whether to laugh or cry, his eyes a mix of pity and amusement. But after that, he rarely went out. He stayed home to watch his stocks and take care of me personally. We also hired a maternity nurse, but James still had to handle a lot of my care himself. As a result, I became more and more spoiled. My mom came to visit me and, seeing how plump I'd gotten, remarked, "It's good to marry the right person." I was worried that James was too rich and his heart wouldn't be with you. But now, look, he's fattened you up. I can't stand being called fat, not even by my own mother. I used to have a hot, curvy body. But now, the moment I heard that word, I burst into tears with a loud wah. My mom was startled, but when she realized what happened, she laughed and scolded me, "Look at you, so spoiled." What a brat. When a mom complains, it's the truth. I knew it, but I couldn't stop crying. I was sobbing, clutching my belly. When James came back from the supermarket with my dad, I still hadn't stopped. My mom had finally given up. "James, quick, come here. I can't handle this wife of yours." When I saw James, I felt even more wronged and sobbed into his arms. "I'm fat, boo-hoo, and I'm spoiled." My parents stared at me, dumbfounded. Only James was a pro at handling this scene. He gently patted my back and cooed, "Sadie's not fat. Our Sadie is the best. Don't cry. Are your eyes sore? Are you tired? I bought yogurt. You must be hungry. Let me feed you." My mom couldn't watch anymore. "Oh, James, if you keep spoiling her like this, she's going to be impossible." My lip quivered, and James, forgetting his mother-in-law, just gently kissed me. "Emicham, I'll always spoil her like this." My dad and my mom. The rest of my pregnancy was relatively smooth. I even managed to coax him into a few careful harmony sessions. In the days leading up to my due date, I couldn't eat or sleep, and James was the same, if not worse. On the day of the delivery, I insisted he not come into the room with me. But later, Jenny told me that while I was screaming my head off in the delivery room, James was outside, nearly clawing a hole in the hospital wall. Wah! A cry, the trumpet call of a new life, and my victory. 10 months, and I finally unloaded the cargo. Congratulations, it's a girl. As a new mother, I gave a very unmotherly smile. A girl is great. Just like her mom. I'll teach you how to pick up handsome boys when you grow up.